Hey, you're tuned into Kana's Corner, and I told you it was a jam-packed day. I've got the best guest ever sitting with me right here in the corner, and his name is Richard McGonagle, and he's been in Batman Arkham Asylum, Uncharted 2, and many other different voice acting adventures. So, if you're missing this interview, you're in a lot of trouble. Would you like to say hi to the listeners out there?
Certainly. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for listening and playing. I appreciate it.
Now, I'm just curious, but how'd you get involved with video games, out of sheer curiosity?
Well, to tell you the truth, I can't really remember how it happened, except that it just all of a sudden started appearing in the audition files from my voice agent, and as you may know, I do just about anything I can get paid for within limits. As far as acting goes, I do film, I do television, I do voiceover, I do trailers, I do narration, I do books, I do games, I do anything. And this just started appearing some years ago, and I started auditioning and getting them and doing them. The interesting thing about the Uncharted, both the first and second, is when I know when I went in to read for the Uncharted one, the first one, it was kind of strange because usually you go in and you're in a booth and you're just reading lines, and all of a sudden they were having me move around, and I said, "What's going on?" And they said, "Well, this is motion capture." So we were doing it a whole different way, and a lot more fun.
So you got to actually put on this sort of black suits with the dots on them and run around in front of a camera.
Yes.
Did that feel foolish at the beginning?
No, actually, I'd done some green screen acting before, and it was similar to that. It actually is almost more fun because you get to imagine everything. And I have, fortunately, a very fertile imagination, and I can make up all sorts of stuff. Ever since I was a kid, I used to get in a lot of trouble for it, but now I get paid for it.
Well, that's always a good thing, as long as you're doing something you enjoy.
Yes, indeed.
And now, for Uncharted 2, did you think that you would be playing such a sort of, comedy relief character who's sort of the only wise old man in the series?
Well, it started to develop that way in the first one, and I liked the character. Victor Sullivan is a lot of fun, and he's a little bit of me and a little bit of fantasy all rolled up into one. So that's the great thing about working on this on these projects, the Uncharted projects, is they're very open to the actors' personal suggestions and characteristics that we want to throw in, because we would do it a lot of different ways, and as we went through, it just started developing more and more to this character that Victor is today, or I should say Sully. That's what most everybody knows him as, and it's a whole lot of fun. It really is. It's like the best. The most fun that probably I've had in the business so far.
I mean, to me personally, what I liked about the character is that in the beginning, in the first game, you could never really tell if he was going to stay true or if he was going to go against you, but he always sort of had a lookout on Nathan Drake as if, they had been partners for a really long time.
Yes. You never quite knew where Sully was going to go, because Sully is, while he is a good friend, he's also very self-obsessed, and he's going to take care of himself. But they do have a history and a very I think, strong friendship together. But yeah, particularly in the first one, we tried to do that. We tried to keep it a little bit of a question as to which way Sully was going to go.
And now you said you got to do the motion capturing, but did you get a chance to meet the people at Naughty Dog?
Oh yes.
And how was that experience?
Oh, they're great. Of course, all the way through the process, we're working with several of the people from Naughty Dog, the producer Amy Hennig, and oh God, I'm going to embarrass myself again. I'm terrible at remembering names, but Josh, I can't remember his last name, and anyway, a few other people from Naughty Dog are always there when we're doing the motion capture, and also later when we go back in and do some looping and adding in extra dialogue. And then, of course, after the thing was done, I have been over to the Naughty Dog facility and gotten to walk around and meet a lot of the technical people, the people who do the designing and the drawing and making it look as fabulous as it does. That's a lot of fun.
Now
they get a kick out of it, and so do I.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm going to assume that you're not a big video gamer. I'm from what I know, but when you do see the cutscenes at the end of the finished product, if you ever do get a chance, does it ever kind of blow you away how far technology is going?
It does. It was a huge leap to me from Uncharted 1 to Uncharted 2, and the quality of the production. The faces were so much more animated, and everything looked 3D to me in the second one particularly. I was amazed by the first one, but really blown away by the second one.
Yeah, and it got what it deserved. You guys got Video Game of the Year, I believe, at Spike TV.
Not bad, huh?
Yeah, not bad at all to be a part of that sort of project. How would you compare this, voice acting to the numerous live action roles that you've done?
Well, I'd say it's usually more interesting. It has been for me because most of my career, the live action stuff I've done has been supporting roles and not as interesting and far-reaching as some of the stuff I've gotten to do. Particularly Victor Sullivan. I mean, he's a lot more fun than most everything I've gotten to do so far.
Now, do you get to see voice acting as sort of an easier extension as yourself, since you're not doing any really physical acting?
Well, of course, in the motion capture we're doing it all. But I think in general, one of the great things about voice acting, although when we're doing the Uncharted project and the motion capture, you do have to learn your lines. But one of the great things about voice acting, for the most part, is you don't have to memorize it because you've got a script in front of you the whole time, and you're in a booth somewhere. But that makes things a lot easier, especially when your memory starts to go on you.
Oh, I can understand that, though. I'm terrible at memorizing things. And if you want me to be honest, I had to ask my producer several times in the past few days how to say your last name.
Well, you're doing very well with it. Yeah, it's been a kind of a subtle joke my whole life, is all the way through school and the service and through many other events and situations in my life where people have mangled the name terribly, but once you get used to it, it just rolls off the tongue. It's a good Irish name, McGonagle.
Well, very awesome. It seems like we're going to take a short break, but just so all the listeners are aware out there, we're going to have a contest for some Uncharted 2 posters. I'll play the ad, you do the do, and make sure that you send those emails only on 91.8 The Fan. 91.8thefan.com. Have you logged on today?
Who, me? No. No?
iStock's daily news show, video reviews, articles, forums, and an anime directory. Don't get left behind. Log in today. Only on
918thefan.com?
918thefan.com.
All right, 918thefan.com.
Hey, you're back to Kana's Corner. And as I said, if you're not tuned in, there's a problem. And you've heard my contest thing twice. You better get those emails in for a very special prize. And I still have my special guest with me, which is always awesome. I haven't chased him away yet. At least I try not to. And we were actually talking behind the scenes how you were in Batman Arkham Asylum, because I was surprised by that one, since Bane doesn't sound anything like Victor Sullivan.
Well, I can't remember exactly what Bane sounded like, but yeah, I do a lot of different voices, and fortunately, my range is fairly wide and octave-wise, so I can go to a lot of places and some strange ones for some of the alien characters I've done.
Well, hopefully you get cast in Batman Arkham Asylum too. I know they announced that, but I'm sure if they did cast you, you're under a NDA.
Well, I would be, yes, but so far I'm not in it.
Well, we hope in the future that you get that call.
Thanks, me too.
It's always nice to get that next
working.
paycheck.
That's right.
Now,
That's right. Fun is fun, but come on, we need to be paid.
Exactly. Now, are there any projects that you're working on, voiceover or live action, that you want our listeners to be aware about?
Actually, there's nothing live action that I'm working on right now. I wish I could tell you about something, but no, not right now.
Oh, so it's kind of a slow period this beginning of the year, you would say?
Yeah. It's a funny business. It goes up, it goes down. You're hot, you're not. The most important thing in it is just to hang in there and be patient.
Well, on the plus side, you have all your agents and your publicists and all that stuff, so they do all the hard work.
Yes.
Did you ever find auditioning when you originally began sort of nerve-wracking?
Yes, I did. And sometimes it still is. Not so much for the voice acting stuff, but sometimes on the live action stuff can get a little nervous, a little tense.
Would you say there's more prep time for voiceover or live action?
Live action. More prep is required for that, yeah, because predominantly you're doing a scene, and you're supposed to know the dialogue and have your character all set up, and it's a lot more structured that way. Where with the voice acting, you're in a much more confined space, and you've got the dialogue there, and you've got everything in front of you, so you're not relying quite so much on that questionable brain.
Yeah, I can see how that can sometimes lead you astray, especially I can understand myself. I was in theater, not necessarily, auditions or anything, and I'm terrible at memorizing lines or anything like that. I just go off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's always been a problem for me. I've never had a great memory. The memorization of dialogue is probably the hardest part of that, the whole process. Once that's down, it's everything is a lot easier. But getting it down takes a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of work.
Would you say there's an easiest part?
Well, probably the easiest part is the performance. Once you've got everything done and all your preparation is done and everything has been blocked out and set up, and you're either in front of a camera or on a stage. In front of a camera, of course, you're doing a smaller in pieces. But when you're on a stage doing a full production. And once you're out there in front of the lights and on that stage, you're on your own, and there's a freedom to it. There's a more of a, I don't know, free form feeling about it.
Right, I understand. At least on the plus side to everything, because we do hope you get work. There's probably definitely going to be an Uncharted 3.
Well, we all hope so.
I don't think they're going to abandon the series anytime soon. Naughty Dog is pretty famous for continuing long-running series, because before Uncharted, there was Jak and Daxter. So.
Yes, and I did one of those too.
Did you really? I didn't know that whatsoever.
I did remember what it was. I know it was a Jak 3, I think. Yeah, it was Jak 3. That was it. I played an Oracle in that.
And so you worked with Naughty Dog in the past. Can you remember a change between then and now?
Well, they've always been great to work with. They've always been, they're very actor friendly, which is nice. We always appreciate that when people that we're working with appreciate what we do. They are definitely that. They're easy to work with and a lot of fun.
Now, I'm also aware that you worked in one of my favorite game series, which is Metal Gear Solid.
Yes, I did.
Did you find that interesting at all, considering that's also a huge franchise, both in Japan and in America?
Well, I'm trying to remember what it was that I did in that.
You were President Johnson.
Oh, yes, right. Yeah, that was kind of fun. Yeah, trying to, or working on that character of Mr. Johnson. Yeah. No, that was a lot of fun.
And did you find anything significant about Metal Gear Solid in comparison to some of your more recent roles?
Well, certainly the Uncharted projects are, being that they're the motion capture predominantly, it makes them a lot more interesting and a lot more challenging for an actor, because you're making the whole deal up, and you're working with other actors, and you're going through the motions and through jungles and temples and ruins, and people are shooting at you, and you're ducking and diving in all kinds of directions. So it's a lot more fun. A lot more fun doing the motion capture.
So you definitely do motion capture again, then?
Oh, yes.
Now I'm curious, is there anything you want our listeners to know about, like maybe where they can catch you on the internet, or what products they can, see your voice in or see you in?
Well, there's, like I said, there's probably the most recent thing. I don't know whether they've heard or seen the movie 500 Days of Summer, but I was the narrator in 500 Days of Summer. And that is now out on DVD. So if you missed it in the theater, go buy it. It's really a great movie. I'm very proud to be part of it. And the story is very unique. As I say in the beginning of the movie, in the narration, this is not a love story. It's a story about love. And it's quirky and offbeat, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Zoe Deschanel are fabulous in it.
So your voice,
500 Days.
All right. So your voice was actually in the trailer for that, though.
Yes, I did the trailers too.
I actually remember that because I go into a video store all the time, and they would play that trailer over and over again.
Oh, good.
It seems like it did very well, though, for the movie that it was.
It did. For a small independent, it did very well, and I'm glad of that, because it really deserved it. it is a good film.
And now
and Mark Webb was for his first time out as a feature director, did a fabulous job of directing.
Would you say that working with him was sort of an interesting experience, or was there anything significant about it? Or were you mostly just in the booth?
With Mark, well, I was just in the booth, but in fact, we recorded the narration. That was the first thing that was done before the first frame of film was shot. Was we recorded the narration, and then we went back after the fact and redid things and changed some of the dialogue, and so I had a chance to work with him several times during the process. He was terrific. He's really easygoing, funny, quick-witted guy.
Oh, very cool. And it's interesting to me, always looking over your live action work, because you've been in some pretty, major films in terms of live action, which not a lot of voice actors really get to do.
I'm very lucky. I've had a very wide, varied career, and hopefully it's not over yet. So it's I like having the variety. I like having the opportunity to do all the different aspects of this business called show.
Well, we hope to see you in more things in the future, and we also really enjoyed this interview, and I'm being poked to being told that I don't have a lot of time left, sadly. But before we let you go, I was wondering if you'd participate in a 91.8 The Fan tradition.
What would that be?
We usually ask everyone who comes on the show if they'd be willing to do a bump for us.
Sure.
Awesome. Now, I know that memorizing is a problem, so if you need a pen and paper.
I laugh, but I'm not kidding. I'm looking for a piece of paper.
No, it's okay. We've had, this is actually the funny part, is we try and get, the bloopers and the mess ups during the live interview.
Oh, okay.
That's why it's become a tradition.
Okay.
But we were wondering if you could say, my name is, insert here, I do this, insert here, and you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
Okay. My name is Richard McGonagle, and I am a voice actor. Play Victor Sullivan in the game Uncharted 1 and 2. And see, this is where it goes south.
Oh, it's all right. Do you need the last part again?
What was that last part you wanted?
And you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
And you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
Thank you very much. That was awesome.
Or we could always say, and you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
Ooh, I love the dramatics.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you so much. And our listeners thoroughly enjoyed that. I can tell they're going crazy in our chat. So.
Okay, great.
And for everybody out there, make sure to stay tuned because we have more contests on the way. So if you missed this interview, remember it's going to be up on the site later, and you don't want to miss that. Anyway, you're tuned in to 91.8 Fan, everything you want to hear and nothing you don't.